Is the sun getting brighter? He has Planet X pictures in the telescope. Somebody said that the Vatican's telescope may be known as the Pope Scope. What do you think? I'm kind of liking that. I see the Pope has been doing a lot of apologizing this week, but we won't get into that. I'll tell you what, why don't we just go back to our newsmaker line and see if we have Marshall Masters. Marshall, are you back?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right. Welcome back to the program, Marshall. It's good to have you back.
Good to be here.
All right. Well, we've got numbers of other questions, but before we do that, Marshall, why don't you give a little brief history of yourself and why people should even listen to what you have to say? What's your credentials?
Well, I mean, I'm a former CNN science feature producer back in the 80s and was in the computer business. And the reason why I got into all of this was I used to have a travel business in Russia. During the 90s, I was flying every year, December, January time frame, and I was taking the polar route from San Francisco to Moscow. And on the way back, I was always watching through, there we're at 37,000 feet. And I remember my first flight. It was beautiful, pristine, snow and ice in every direction, blue ice. It was just stunning. By my 8th winter flight, the North Pole just simply looked like the busted windshield of a wrecked car in a wrecking yard.
Really?
Now, I looked at that, and as you know, it's not hills and valleys, ups and downs. It was a steady progression downwards. And I did something that the global warming debunkers were advising against. I believed my lying eyes. Okay. And so I started researching and started reading about all of this. And I've been publishing on it since 1999. My website, yowza.com, went live in 2000. We've been on this, and our work is up. It's available. We put more free information out there about Planet X than other websites on the web.
All right.
We've been very voluminous in our
Excellent.
reporting. We have several websites, and we're out there trying to get the message across. But I'm not trying to, you're going to have, we have folks that call me all kinds of names. They say I'm devil incarnate, I'm a reptilian, I'm an unholy vessel. I mean, I get called all these kinds of names, and that's fine as long as they're not call and collect.
Reptilian?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
what?
I didn't know that one. It's like reptilian. I'm kind of reptilians are supposed to be thin, man. I got a thick waist. It doesn't work.
You can't be reptilian.
I got too much to shapeshift.
I mean,
Bubba.
well, okay. I mean, unless you don't eat flies, do you? With like a 4-foot tongue?
No, not really, not really. But I've been known to down a lot of Mai Tais.
That's what I always like to talk to a man who can sock them down. All right.
That's it.
All right, Marshall, we have this question here from Bruce. He wants to know, Marshall, where, geographically speaking, where would be the best location on planet Earth to survive another Noah-type flood?
Well, definitely not along the coastlines. The coastlines, in general, are going to get hurt. That's where we have the largest concentration of people live within a few miles of coastlines.
Yeah.
That's where you're going to have your largest amount of death. Think back to the 2004 December Sumatra superquake and tsunami. All right, and you had all these people that were dying. And this as a tsunami event was we're going to have much worse than that in time to come. But interestingly enough, and I want to point this out to people, is that the death was by civilized people and their domesticated animals. Wild animals and ignorant natives, when they first felt those trembles, they started heading for elevation, screaming, "Feet don't fail me now."
Right. Yep.
All right?
Yep.
So with all our cars and our money and our clever ideas, we're the ones standing there going, well, look at that. The water's pulling out. Let's get the stranded fish. Something for free. We think like total consumers. We're going to die. A lot of people are going to die, not because so much of the event itself, they're going to die because they're waiting for the government to tell them what it is, and then they want to argue with the government for a while if they don't like what they're being told.
Yeah.
And the people that are going to survive are going to be like those natives during the Sumatra superquake, quietly running uphill, screaming, "Feet don't fail me now."
Well, you know what?
And that's the same thing here.
You know what? I think I would trust a native than, say, my own government, frankly. But you know what? It seems like when these things, when Planet X gets near and these events start happening, you know what? I think we need a Marshall Plan. What do you think? A Marshall Plan to get through it.
Well, I would love to see the government do something like that. And if they're going to do something about that, they'd have started doing that years ago. But what I think that the governments are really doing, looking at it, the power elites, is that they're going, well, there's opportunity in chaos.
Mm-hmm.
We have a planet we're way too overpopulated. There's just simply too many of us.
Marshall.
And, yeah.
I was being facetious. I was talking about you.
Oh, a Marshall Plan?
Aren't you Marshall?
Sorry about that. I thought you were talking about the Marshall Plan after World War II. Okay, well, the Marshall Plan, that's simple. The Marshall Plan is simple. Listen to your guides.
Okay.
Listen to your guides. Pray on it.
Nope.
Listen to your guides. Listen to that inner voice. Your guides are going to tell you, hey, head this way, head that way, get going.
Or go to watch an Edge audio or video archive and find out. Here's a question for you, Marshall. Where do you plan to be when this comes down?
I'm not telling you.
That was a guess question.
I'm not telling anybody.
That was a listener
the first
question.
Rule of survival.
Really?
Huh?
You're not going to tell us, huh? There's not enough room in your underground base, huh?
No, it's not that. I just don't need a whole bunch of people following me.
Well, let me ask you something.
That may sound a little cruel.
Yeah.
But it is.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the things that's interesting. We have a survivors town hall message board we operate, and it's very, very popular. People coming on, they're talking about this, and we've actually had television producers come in, one from two different major networks, major TV shows, and they're coming in to get people to talk about, come on the air, and they're offering them just a whole lot of money, all right, to come on and be on these programs, as much as $50,000 to appear. And none of these folks, and I even tried to help find them. One of the producers for NBC seemed to be pretty sincere, and I was trying to find them, and nobody wants to talk. Nobody wants to talk to these people. First off, there's so much humiliation that goes on with this. And there's a reason why I started the Survivors Town Hall, is that you go out and you're researching this, and you go to talk about it, and you say to somebody, if I walk up to somebody on the street and I say, I am now a believer of the great Flabaz, and if you don't become a Flabazian, you will perish in the hills of Gumash. You're going to look at me and say, have you thought of Betty Ford lately? And, that's it. You're going to laugh and go on about your business. But you tell somebody, we've got this massive object flying through the system. We're going to have meteorite showers. It's going to have all of this devastating effect. Western civilization, as we know it, could very well perish. Yeah. And, man, you are talking about somebody acting like you threw a snake in their face.
Again, that could be a good thing, though, for some amongst us. Hey, let me get to some of these other questions we have now. Earlier, we were talking about the sun in the first hour, and there is a question that I want to ask, and it has to do with whether or not we have a binary star system. Is that possible? And if so, where would the second sun be?
Well, that's what we maintain, is that we are in a binary star system. What we're saying is that Planet X is more likely a small star system in its own right that's in orbit around our sun. It's a red dwarf, which is an unborn sun. This is a sun that has enough mass to ignite, but can't sustain the nuclear furnace, so to speak, like our own sun. And so what it does, it dies like a hot ember in your barbecue out in the backyard. And it just takes a whole long time to do it. Really? And, of course, an object this size is going to have its own satellites, could have moons, planetoids, obviously a large debris field. And it's going to be very difficult to spot. It's one of the questions everybody, well, why can't we see it? Why can't we see it? Why can't we see it? Well, one of the reasons why it can't be seen, brown dwarfs are very elusive, is that when they have that initial ignition event, they create a ball of dust, if you will, around them. And that ball of dust occludes them in the visible light spectrums. But